This YNW Melly murder trial that's going on right now is getting crazier by the day. After taking a week-long break, the jurors are back. The prosecution is starting again, and they got some crazy evidence and witnesses to testify against YNW Melly. And one of them came in the previous day and testified that YNW Melly actually changed clothes after the murders of YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie. The article says the YNW Melly trial has resumed in Broward County, Florida, after their jury went on a week-long hiatus, and the return of the trial marked the presentation of the prosecution's final two witnesses, which seemed to be damning for the Murder of the Mind rapper. Local 10 was in the courtroom on Monday, July 10th, where Trevion Malik Glass testified that he'd seen YNW Melly in different clothes after the murders of YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser. He said this, quote, "We were supposed to have a 12-hour session," he said, referring to the meeting he was due to have with Melly at the New Era Recording Studios in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But Glass said he'd fallen asleep as a result of the night dragging on, only to be awoken by his phone ringing off the hook, informing him about the shootings. When Glass arrived at Fredo Banks' house, he spotted YNW Melly, and he wasn't wearing the same clothes. Prior to today's testimony, YNW Melly and his legal team suffered a legal setback on June 28th when crime scene detective Sergeant Christopher Williams, who was called to witness stand by the prosecution, determined that the fatal bullets that killed the YNW members came from inside the car that they were riding in at the time of their death, not outside. For those that don't know, YNW Melly is claiming that the shooting came from outside the car. It was a drive-by shooting. That's what he's saying. But the prosecutors are saying that it wasn't a drive-by shooting. It was set up like that they actually shot both of them inside the car and then got outside the car and sprayed more bullets outside to make it look like a drive-by shooting.
So these angles are important because it is part of my assignment, which is to determine if this is a drive-by shooting. And my determination was that this is not a drive-by shooting, and it's based upon this picture here, which is a very good picture to describe it. All of these rounds are done, and all but one is done at a stationary position. The shooter is at a stationary position when all but one of these rounds are going in. The one round that has some movement in it, which is round site L here, the shooter is actually moving in that to create the little bit of a keyhole that you see there.
Now the question is, what is the motive for the actual murders? Why did YNW Melly actually do this? And well, they pulled up text messages of seemingly YNW Melly being jealous of YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie. So let's go over some of the text messages they actually presented in court by going over this article. The defense lawyers made a point during the opening statements last month that Demons, who's YNW Melly, had no motive to kill his friends. Jurors will have to decide whether the text messages shown in court Tuesday can be interpreted as a motive for murder. These are the text messages. YNW Melly said this: "Y'all acting like y'all bosses," allegedly said in one of the messages from August 2018, 2 months before the murders. Then this text message was sent: "Money ain't right without my drip, so get right or something gonna flop." Moretti translated the slang as Demons, YNW Melly, demanding more credit and payment for his creative input. So they're saying in these text messages that YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser were getting more credit for their work on YNW Melly's career and more money than YNW Melly wanted them to get. So that was the motive for the murders, or at least one of the reasons for the murders. YNW Sack Chaser sent this text message to YNW Melly saying, "I'm going to pay you back for everything you did for me, every idea, all that. We always going to be brothers." In another message they showed was YNW Melly asking YNW Sack Chaser, "Where is the gun? Where's the fire?" That's what they call it, fire. They translated it. He said, "Hey, it's in the shoebox." And they're even presenting video footage on YNW Melly's phone where he says, "Hey, I'm going to turn myself in," stuff like that.
Hello, Sawyer. This is video footage. My name is Melly, and I'm going to turn myself in, but I'm an assault.
And then there's even footage of literally like hours after the murders, you see YNW Melly shooting a music video and just walking around, having fun, smiling, laughing. So
it's a video shoot. Y'all see that? Live. What happened? Okay. Y'all see Melly? Y'all out here. Y'all see talking about his dog gone. He said he's still out here. Melly in the motherfucking building, bro. In the motherfucking place to be. We got motherfucking murder video shoot. Melly is here. And he's wrecking his motherfucking dog. Somebody's dog dead and gone. It's awesome.
You know, they're probably thinking that they're going to use that as like, oh, you know, he's not grieving. He's not worried about the situation. It happened, and he's just moving on like nothing happened. However, ultimately, YNW Melly is saying that he was never in the car when these shootings happened. The prosecutors, though, to deny what YNW Melly said, that he wasn't in the car, they actually have studio footage that they released as well that showed 4 people getting in the car, including YNW Melly. So that was proven as false. He was in the vehicle.
Excuse me, you're able to see? Yes? All right.
And if there was a drive-by shooting, more than likely you would have got hit with something. I mean, if you guys remember Tupac when he got hit, Suge, you know, a lot of people say, hey, Suge was the reason that, you know, Tupac got killed, but, you know, he got grazed with bullets as well. It's kind of hard when you're in a drive-by shooting to survive something like that as well, unless there's a bunch of bodies in front of you. So, you know, it's a tricky situation. Follow me for more as I get more updates on this YNW Melly case. The prosecutors are finishing things up very soon here. So then it's going to be the defense team defending YNW Melly and everything that they said and going against it and saying, hey, YNW Melly did not do any of this. Now, if YNW Melly is convicted of these murders, if 8 out of the 12 jurors decide that, hey, we're going to give him the death penalty, it ultimately falls on the judge. And if the judge says death penalty, then yes, YNW Melly gets death penalty and it's completely over for him.